The Government of India has approved the new Geo-Spatial policy. The policy would liberalize the access to geospatial data among various private Indian entities. So what is geospatial data? Geospatial data is the information about objects, events or phenomena that have a location on Earth's surface. The location can be static in the short term, like the location of a road, an earthquake event, malnutrition among children, or can be dynamic, like a moving vehicle or pedestrian, the spread of an infectious disease. Various apps use geospatial data every day. Your food gets delivered anywhere because of the geospatial data. You want to visit a friend, don't know the route. You use Google Maps, which uses geospatial data to give you real-time location. It also tells you if you should carry an umbrella or a jacket, as even weather apps use geospatial data. Now, before I tell you about the new policy, let's first understand what is the current policy that will be deregulated. At present, there are strict restrictions on the collection, storage, sales, use and dissemination of geospatial data and mapping. The policy has caused many external and internal security concerns as it has not been renewed in decades. It is majorly dominated by the Government of India and other government-run agencies. If a private company wants to collect information, use or distribute it, it requires a series of permission from different departments of the government, including human and defense ministries. Also, due to the security concerns, the collection of geospatial data was the prerogative of the defense forces. The Government of India started investing in it after the Kargil war. The war highlighted the importance of foreign data and the need of indigenous source of data. So what is the reason behind deregulation of current policy? With the current policy, it takes months to acquire permission or license, which delays the projects for both Indian private companies and the government agencies. So the new policy will scrape the process of getting permission. Indian companies can now self-attest without being monitored by the government agencies, but of course, while conforming to the new guidelines. Another reason is the lack of data in the country, which eventually affects planning of infrastructure, development as well as businesses. The need for geospatial data on each and every field is necessary today, be it agriculture, environment, power, water, transportation, health or communication. Accurate data is imperative. Also, mapping an entire country by just a single entity, which at the moment is government, is very time consuming. It could take decades to come up with accurate data. So the government is incentivizing the sector for private companies, which will also increase the investment by private players. So how will the new guidelines benefit us? By liberalizing the system, the government will ensure more players in the field, competitiveness of Indian companies in global market. More accurate data will be available for both the government and individual Indians too. Startups and businesses will now also be able to use this data in setting up their concerns, especially in the sector of e-commerce or sectors in which geospatial apps are used, therefore increasing the employment in these sectors. Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said that the new guidelines would act as a catalyst in achieving the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and the goal of a $5 trillion economy. More accurate data will be available not just for the government but also for the citizens. Government is also putting in a lot of trust in the private companies, as they will have the freedom to self-certify and rely upon to follow the guidelines. Indian companies can now develop apps like indigenous Google Maps. The Ministry of Science and Technology said that the next generation of mapping technology is just about coming into its own around the world. This policy will enable Indian innovators to create substantial advances in mapping, ultimately making our lives easier and empowering small businesses.